What up, gang? What up, squad? It is your boy, Are You Serious? Realist, the coolest, the tradition king. On to play from as we speak. Welcome back to the lit banger, gang. So, y'all been telling me to check out the Jordan versus LeBron, the best GOAT comparison. So, I'm like, all right, man, I'm gonna check it out. It's a little long for my liking. I don't tend to do videos longer than 20 minutes or so, but this one, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to check it out. If I skip through some parts, maybe it's because it got copyright in it. That's why it probably skipped. So, and I gotta get my cheese. You know what I'm saying? I gotta do what I gotta do. All right, man. So we're gonna go ahead and check it out, man. If you're new, subscribe, like the video, comment some more bangers y'all want me to check out. If y'all want more Jordan, let me know. If y'all want more LeBron, let me know. I'm not LeBron. I'm Team Jordan all day. But for y'all, I'll do whatever y'all want me to do. All right. So let's go ahead and hop right into this one. Let's get it. Burn. When you're good at something, you tell everyone. When you're great at something, they'll tell you. Oh, that was a quote right there. Shades. Darius, hurry up, son. I'm giving you 5 more minutes. You ain't even clean these counters yet. That famous tongue. You know, yeah. Don't ever get it messed up. LeBron was nice, but Jordan was nicer though. Back in Miami. Okay. But boy got that wet, yeah. Jordan versus LeBron, the defensive GOAT analyst.
Jordan versus LeBron. LeBron versus Jordan. It's a debate that has captured the public's attention for the last several years, especially after this moment in 2016, when LeBron James beat the Golden State Warriors to win the 3rd championship of his career.
I remember
in
that.
LeBron's own words,
that one right there made me the greatest player of all time.
For so many reasons.
I said I wasn't gonna pause because it's really long, but that made you the greatest of all time, bro. You had to go win in Miami and they gave you all the things you needed to win. Michael went from nothing to something. Now, if you stayed in Cleveland and eventually did that, all right, maybe I might understand. But hell no, you tweaking, my boy.
That one right there made you the greatest player of all time.
But did it?
No.
Is everything since that moment simply icing on LeBron's cake? Or is LeBron destined to finish his career in Michael Jordan's shadow? We've all heard the arguments from LeBron supporters.
He's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster, he's more durable.
And from Jordan supporters.
He's not faster
Michael
than
Jordan was merely
He's quicker.
6-0 with 6 MVPs in the finals.
But the GOAT debate isn't as simple as the pundits make it seem. There are a number of factors relevant in determining the greatest basketball player of all time. In fact, I would say there are 5 things that really matter when determining the GOAT of any sport. These criteria are, in no particular order, accomplishments, longevity, winning, statistics, and what we'll refer to in this video as the eye test.
The eye test.
And to be the GOAT, you don't need to be the best in any specific category, but you need to be pretty good across the board. So simply winning 7 championships, like Robert Horry did, isn't enough to get you into the conversation.
Robert Horry won 7 championships?
When
That's
we're finished
crazy.
with this video, it'll be plainly obvious that one guy comes out on top. But before we get started, I want to clarify that this is not a comparison of legacies. It's about who was the better basketball player. If we were talking about legacies, Jordan's is nearly untouchable. Not only did he lead basketball to global popularity, he helped transform Nike into an empire, changed the way players played and how they dressed, and he even made it cool for guys to be bald. And while those things certainly contribute to MJ's iconic status, they don't make him a better player on the court. So let's evaluate the criteria that matter, and we'll start with individual accomplishments.
Let's get
Take a look. Jordan had more regular season MVPs, twice as many finals MVPs, 9 more scoring titles, and several more selections to the NBA's All-Defensive team, including once being named Defensive Player of the Year. LeBron has more All-Star appearances, but that's largely due to his having played more seasons.
Duh.
In fact, when taking into account retirements and major injuries, Jordan essentially played 13 seasons compared to 17 seasons for LeBron, making Jordan's significant lead in accomplishments all the more impressive.
Fact.
And that's to say nothing of MJ's brilliant college career, which saw him twice named All-American and once awarded College Player of the Year, at a time when the country's best players actually went to college. So regardless of whether you're a LeBron fan or MJ fan, you have to give the accomplishments checkmark to Jordan. The second criteria in our GOAT analysis is longevity. And this one is also a no-brainer, but this time in favor of LeBron. Not only has LeBron played more seasons in the league, but he's had a longer peak than Jordan. Jordan's peak lasted about 10 years, whereas LeBron's peak has lasted 16 years and is still going. And he's been incredibly durable during that time, missing significant time to injury only in 2019. That said, the claim that LeBron has been much more durable than Michael has been a bit overblown. Consider that Jordan played in at least 80 regular season games 11 times in his career, including all 82 games an incredible 9 times. Compare that to LeBron, who played in at least 80 regular season games just twice, and in all 82 games just once. So both LeBron and Jordan get high marks for their durability. But durability aside, the bottom line is that LeBron has sustained his level of excellence for a much longer period of time than Jordan, which puts the longevity checkmark squarely in LeBron's corner.
Obviously.
That brings us to the third GOAT criteria.
I ain't gonna pause it no more, but because the game has changed. When Jordan was playing, he was playing against the Pistons, bro, where they was punching him, kicking him, and biting him. LeBron get flicked. He a female. He a priss, bro.
Winning.
Different time.
As we all know, Jordan won 6 championships. LeBron has won 3. Jordan is 6-0 in the NBA Finals. LeBron is 3-6. Yes, LeBron has made the finals 9 times compared to only 6 times for Jordan. But let's not pretend that making the finals is the same thing, or even close to the same thing, as winning a title. Take a prime example from another sport, the Buffalo Bills. They're the only team in NFL history to appear in 4 consecutive Super Bowls. But is there a single player or fan of that team that wouldn't trade all 4 of those appearances for just 1 Super Bowl win? Frankly, talk to any fan whose team 100%. Lost the season's final game and ask them how they felt afterward. Almost universally, their feelings are of sadness, anger, and disappointment.
Of course.
And that's just the fans. For players, those feelings are only magnified.
Yeah, because they played
Listen to Charles Barkley talk about losing in the NBA Finals.
And I was just in shock when it was over because I had to, I was frustrated because I couldn't wheel my team past Michael and the Bulls. And first of all, I don't think I've ever gotten over it, number one.
Damn, that's crazy.
But
30 years later.
That was traumatic, and it's painful.
So we can all stop with this false equivalence between winning the championship and finishing runner-up. In the words of Herm Edwards,
it's not the same, bro.
You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game.
Now back to Jordan and LeBron.
1000%.
As mentioned, on basketball's biggest stage, the NBA Finals, Jordan was 6-0. LeBron was 3-6. And frankly, that doesn't even show how lopsided their records really are. In terms of individual finals games, Jordan was 24-11. LeBron is 18-31. And that's because in 4 of his 6 finals losses, LeBron's team hasn't even been competitive.
Damn.
Twice he got swept, and 2 other times he lost 4-1. That includes being on the wrong side of the 2 most lopsided finals by margin of loss in NBA history.
That boy Leonard is nice.
Of course, LeBron fans will tell you that the only reason for LeBron's poor finals record is that his competition was so tough. Ironically, some of these same fans criticized Jordan for losing early in his career to a Celtics team stacked with 5 Hall of Famers, and they conveniently gloss over the fact that LeBron reached the finals so many times in part because the competition in his own conference was so weak. During the vast majority of his career, LeBron played in what many dubbed the Leastern Conference because the East was so much weaker than the West. On the other hand, during Jordan's playing days, the East was generally considered the stronger conference, as Jordan had to battle through hard-fought rivalries against the Bad Boy Pistons, Patrick Ewing's Knicks, the Shaq Penny-led Magic, and Reggie Miller's Pacers.
Reggie fucking Miller!
That said, if you want to blame LeBron's failure in the finals on the level of his competition, I won't argue with you. But let's also not blow it out of proportion.
KD.
If you look at the average number of wins of their finals opponents, you'll see that LeBron's finals opponents averaged 60.8 wins per season, whereas Jordan's finals opponents averaged 61.2 wins per season. So as it turns out, both players face stiff competition in the finals. But a big reason we don't hold the 93 Suns, the 96 Sonics, or the 98 Jazz in the same regard as some of LeBron's title and finishing runner-up is huge. And the reason those teams never won the title? This guy. Look,
Jordan.
I'm not trying to say that Jordan's opponents were as good as the Warriors teams that LeBron faced 4 times in the finals.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, them boys
The truth is that Jordan never played a juggernaut quite like that. But there's a pretty good reason for that. Jordan's Bulls were the juggernaut. They were the team winning 70-plus games.
Yeah, they
were the team with the target on their back every year. And as the Warriors showed us, that's not an easy place to be. As great as the Warriors were, they were never able to string together 3 consecutive championships. Jordan's Bulls did it twice. So what's the greater achievement? Beating the juggernaut or being the juggernaut? Or to be more specific, beating the juggernaut 1 time out of the 4 times you faced them? Or being the juggernaut year after year after year? And then doing it again, year after year after year. There's no doubt that LeBron's victory over the 73-win Warriors was the highlight of his career. But it's not the first time that an underdog has won the championship. And there actually have been much bigger underdogs who ended up winning the title. But how many times have we seen a player lead his team to 6 championships in 8 years? Prior to Jordan's Bulls, only Bill Russell's Celtics ever accomplished that feat in the NBA, when they incredibly won 11 championships in 13 seasons. However, back then, there was an average of less than 10 teams in the league, and only a couple rounds of playoffs, so it was considerably easier to win a title. And no player, not even Bill Russell, ever had a run of winning 25 of 26 playoff series, as Michael Jordan did. And Michael's pattern of winning goes beyond the NBA. Let's not forget that Jordan has never won anything but gold in the Olympics, and he also earned an NCAA championship, in which he hit the first of 2 iconic championship-winning shots in his career.
That's crazy.
All that is to say, when it comes to winning, the checkmark clearly goes to Jordan.
Check, big check.
On to the 4th GOAT criteria, statistics. This one is a bit more complicated. I mean, how do you statistically evaluate 2 players who played in different eras under different rules at different positions?
100%.
One way of doing it is to simply look at the 8 traditional statistics of basketball. Points, assists, rebounds, steals, blocks, field goal percentage, free throw percentage, and turnovers. And we'll focus on per-game stats rather than cumulative stats, since cumulative stats, such as total career points and total career assists, really speak to longevity, which is already its own category of the GOAT analysis. Per-game stats, on the other hand, is more of an apples-to-apples comparison.
I ain't gonna lie,
so looking at the 8 traditional stats, we see that Jordan leads LeBron in 5 of them. Points per game, steals per game, blocks per game, free throw percentage, and fewer turnovers. LeBron leads in the other 3, assists per game, rebounds per game, and field goal percentage.
Only 3?
But that's a pretty simplistic way of looking at statistics.
Okay, what else
What if we instead turn to analytics?
Okay.
Probably the most well-known analytic stat is player efficiency rating, or PER for short. This metric was created by respected basketball analyst John Hollinger to give an overall rating to a player's performance based on traditional stats like the ones we just mentioned. Jordan has led the league in PER 7 times, LeBron 6 times. Jordan has finished top 3 in PER 10 times, LeBron 9 times. In fact, Jordan has the highest career PER in both the regular season and the playoffs.
Jeez.
Another popular analytic stat is win shares. Jordan has led the league in win shares 8 times, LeBron 5 times. Jordan has finished top 3 in win shares 11 times, LeBron 6 times. And when it comes to win shares per 48 minutes, Jordan has the highest career rating in both the regular season and the playoffs.
Jordan is just killing this dude, bro.
What about box plus minus? Until recently, LeBron was actually ahead of Jordan in career box plus minus. But after the 2017 season gave Russell Westbrook the greatest single-season box plus minus in history by a wide margin, the architect of box plus minus realized that the stat was fundamentally flawed. So he made some changes to improve its formula. As a result, Michael Jordan now has the highest career box plus minus in both the regular season and the playoffs. And lastly, what about value over replacement player, which on its face seems to favor LeBron James? Well, value over replacement player is a cumulative stat, and as previously noted, cumulative stats speak more to longevity than they do game-to-game dominance.
Okay.
That said, according to value over replacement player, Jordan owns 6 of the 9 greatest individual seasons ever played. And on a per-game basis, MJ's career rating in value over replacement player is the highest of all time in both the regular season and the playoffs. Are you noticing a theme here?
Yes.
Not only does
the
Jordan beat
goals.
LeBron in every ratable analytic stat,
Everything.
he consistently ranks as the best ever across the board. Before we move on from analytics, I want to mention a lesser-known stat
The
called
proof is in the
game
pudding,
score,
y'all.
another brainchild of John Hollinger. Game score measures a player's performance in a single game, so it won't tell us who's had the better career,
Behind a
but
back.
it does provide insight into who's had the greatest games. Now, we only have game score stats since 1983, so you won't see any mentions of Wilt Chamberlain here. That said, of the 100 highest game scores ever recorded, incredibly 19 of them belong to Michael Jordan. In other words, nearly 1 out of every 5 of the best single-game performances over the last 4 decades
Was
has
my
been by
dog.
MJ. That includes the
MJ.
highest game score of all time for Jordan's 69.18 rebound masterpiece. Comparatively, LeBron has had only 3 of the top 100 game scores. When discussing the GOAT, Nick Wright is
But
fond of
crack.
world this question.
The aliens come down. You have one game to save humanity. Who's your first pick in the history of the world?
Well, Nick, I think we have our answer. Now that I've finished drowning you in numbers, let's be real. Hardly anyone watching this video knows how to calculate PER, win shares, box plus minus, value over replacement player,
I don't know
or
what
game
none of that
score.
is.
And why should you? This is
John
basketball, not Goodwill Hunting. So let's go back to the traditional stats that we all know and understand. But this time, let's add context to them. What do I mean by context? Well, some positions are
Look at
simply
Magic.
better than others at racking up certain stats. Let's take rebounding as an example. In a vacuum, if we simply compare the number of rebounds per
Ray Allen
game
was
of Brook
cold with
Lopez and Jason Kidd, we might think that Lopez was the better rebounder. The truth is, relative to their positions, Lopez is statistically one of the worst rebounding centers in NBA history, whereas Kidd is statistically one of the best rebounding guards in NBA history.
Wow.
But even a poor rebounding center can grab more rebounds than a great
Bro,
rebounding
look how
guard
big
solely
he
by
is.
virtue
He
of their
beat
roles on the
everybody.
court. So it makes
What the
sense
hell?
that, to
That's
understand the
not
context
fair.
of a player's stats, we should compare them to the respective positions that they played.
Kobe.
When comparing LeBron James to the other small forwards who have played at least 500 NBA games, this is where he
Look at
ranks.
Papa Smurf.
Overall,
Papa
that's pretty
Smurf.
impressive. Now let's see how Jordan compares to all shooting guards who have played at least 500 NBA games. As good as LeBron is compared to other small forwards, Jordan is on another level when compared to
Facts.
other shooting guards.
Bro, LeBron
He's darn
is
near the top of
ass
every
crack.
major statistical category, and there isn't a single category where
above him,
LeBron is
though?
better than MJ relative to his position, other than assists. So to sum up
That's it.
statistics, whether comparing traditional stats or analytics, and especially when judging these players in the context of the positions they played, Jordan has a noticeable edge over LeBron. As such, we have to give the check mark to Jordan. And that takes us to the last category in our GOAT analysis,
I'm saying,
the
bro.
eye test.
He already
And to be
got
clear, by eye test, I
Damn.
don't mean which of these players is bigger, faster, or jumps higher. None of that is relevant
Man,
unless
I
we're
would
having a
love to see
track
them
and field
in their prime
competition.
play each other.
And
Ooh,
frankly,
that would've
if
been
physical
amazing.
measurables mattered, then George Murison would be in the GOAT conversation.
What the hell?
No, what I mean by
I'm
the
a fucking,
eye
like,
test is,
7'5".
if you sat an average basketball fan in front of a TV to watch a player in action,
Oh, man,
what would
please
he
don't
notice
turn
that the
off.
player is and is not great at? Thankfully, I happen to be an average basketball fan, and I've had the privilege of watching both LeBron and Jordan during their playing days. So unlike a lot of my fellow YouTubers, I haven't merely relied on highlight videos. Here's what my eyes told me when I saw Michael Jordan play, particularly during his playing days with the Chicago Bulls. He was the best offensive player in the game. He was arguably the best defensive player in the game.
For sure.
He had the best mid-range game.
For sure.
He was the best finisher at the rim.
For sure.
He had the best post-up game, which
For
is
sure.
incredible considering most players who dominated the post were big men. He was widely considered the most clutch player in the game. He was regarded by
For
opponents
sure.
as the fiercest competitor on the court.
For
he was
sure.
regarded by teammates as the hardest worker in practice.
For sure.
And when all was said and done, amongst the other stars of his generation, he was the greatest winner. Now, when you're playing against the elite
Yeah,
of
stay
the
away
elite
from her,
athletes of the world,
Make sure you
to be
come
the
clean
best
on
at
me.
any one of those things is pretty remarkable. But to be the best
No,
at
facts.
all of them, I tell you it's impossible. But for the
It's
fact that
not,
we
but
saw
not
Michael
for
Jordan
him.
do it. And when it comes to the GOAT debate, that's the biggest hurdle facing LeBron. He's basically being compared to a guy who was great at everything and practically had no weaknesses. Seriously, judging by the eye test,
what
what's
you
the
expect,
worst thing
man?
they could say about Michael Jordan's game?
Nothing.
Probably that he wasn't a very good three-point shooter.
Oh, he wasn't?
Jordan shot 33% from beyond the arc in an
Really?
era when the average player also shot 33%. So when it came to three-point shooting, he wasn't good, he wasn't bad, he was just average. But remember that Michael played in an age when the three-point shot wasn't a big part of the game. During Jordan's years, teams averaged only 9.5 three-point attempts per game, and Michael himself attempted less than 2 threes per game.
Yo, that's wild.
And if being an average
No
three-point
Steph
shooter is a
Curry.
weakness of Michael's game, well, then we also have to call it a weekness of LeBron's game.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
The difference
He be
is that LeBron plays in an
airball.
era where the three-point shot is a huge part of the game.
Curry.
During the years in which
Clay.
LeBron played, teams attempted on average over 21 threes per game.
21.
And LeBron himself averaged 4.3 three-point attempps per game,
Hey, he do
or
be
2.5
winning bitches
times
sometimes.
as many as Jordan. Despite the increased emphasis on threes,
Right here.
LeBron's
Don't worry
career
about that.
shooting
Clean.
percentage from beyond the arc
Yeah,
is only a
just
hair
right.
better than Jordan, at 34%. And it's actually slightly below his peers, who averaged
Thank you.
35% from three during his era.
Ah.
But to reiterate, being an average three-point shooter was by far the worst part of MJ's game. For
sure.
LeBron, it's not even close. LeBron, in fact, has 4 major weaknesses as a basketball player,
He was
each of
like-
which
he
is
weak
readily
as hell.
apparent to anyone who has
Look
actually
at
watched
him.
him
Y'all
play.
see? I told y'all.
First, he's not a good free throw shooter.
He
For his
airballed a
career,
three.
LeBron has shot around 73.5% from the free
How you
throw
airball a
line,
three?
which is pretty poor for a player who handles the ball as much as he does. In fact, many analysts
He's
point
like
out
Shaq.
that at the end of games, LeBron shies away from driving to the basket because he's afraid of being sent to the line.
Damn.
I don't know whether that's true, but what I do know is that the odds
That
of
makes
LeBron
sense.
hitting 2 consecutive free throws is statistically not much better than a coin flip.
Why he don't practice it?
Jordan, on the other hand, shot a solid 83.5% from the free throw line during his career. And MJ
Eyes
never shied away from contact
closed.
at the end of games.
Eyes closed.
LeBron's second weakness is that he's an inconsistent defender.
He kicked him.
Sure,
What
he's had
the
some years where he
fuck?
was elite defensively, which is evidenced by his numerous selections to the NBA's all-defensive team, but he's also had several years where he's practically been a liability on the defensive end.
He
Compare
didn't
that to
even
MJ, who
contest
during his
the
Bulls
dude.
days was a consistently elite defender. In fact, Jordan is the only player to rank in the top 5 amongst all guards in both steals per
Dwayne
game and
Wade,
blocks
my
per
dog.
game for his career.
Jerry West.
Additionally,
Dog,
Michael led
look,
his position
Jordan
in
was
defensive
just-
win shares practically every year that he played for the Bulls, an incredible
Watch this.
10 times. LeBron, comparatively, has led his position in defensive win shares on just 4 occasions, and in 5 of his last 7 seasons, he didn't even crack the top 10 at his position
Bro,
in
he
defensive
let them
win
nigga
shares.
run right past him.
Now, some will excuse LeBron's recent fall off on the defensive end as a
he old.
byproduct of his resting on defense so that he can have more energy on offense. And we
What?
can debate the merits of that strategy.
That don't even
but
make
resting
sense.
on defense is not something Michael Jordan was ever accused of doing. Heck, even as a 40-year-old, he was busting his tail on the defensive end.
I'm not gonna pause it again, but man, this just gets me hyped. This is Mike, man. Mike was that nigga, man. No matter what y'all talking about, fuck LeBron, bro. Fuck him. Fuck him. Mike, everything this man is saying, just watch. Let's finish this up and we'll see who's the real GOAT.
But what
We
about the
already
notion that
see it's
LeBron's
Mike.
been the more versatile defender? LeBron supporters will argue that he can guard positions 1 through 5 on the court,
'Cause he's
such as when he
big,
guarded Derrick
er.
Rose for stretches in the 2011 playoffs. But LeBron's guarding the opposing team's point guard or center isn't something that happens very often. In fact, during his career, LeBron has spent less than 5% of his total minutes guarding the opposing players 1 or 5. So the versatility argument is highly exaggerated. And look, when it comes to versatility,
Damn.
Hometown Buffet may have a more versatile menu than Spago. That doesn't make it a better restaurant.
What the hell does that got to do with anything?
LeBron's third weakness is that he's not a very good shooter. And this is a pretty significant flaw for someone claiming to be the GOAT. I mean, shooting the ball is the quintessential skill in the game of basketball.
he ain't
It's the
lying.
part of the game that everyone practices, whether on the
What the
playground,
hell?
at the YMCA, or in the NBA. Now, some people will contend that LeBron is 9.7%.
I was finna say, what
People will
happened to the
contend that
screen?
LeBron is actually a better shooter than Jordan because he has a better career field goal percentage. And yes, LeBron's career field goal percentage is 50.4% compared to Jordan's
That don't mean shit.
49.7%. But recall what I said about placing stats into proper context. To help us understand context when it comes to shooting, allow me to introduce DeAndre Jordan and Tyson Chandler.
DeAndre Jordan.
We all know that DeAndre and Tyson were great rebounders and defenders. But what if I told you that they were also two of the greatest shooters of all?
My camera is tripping. It is not trying to charge, so I'm gonna try to finish this up the best I can. If not, I'm gonna just post whatever I can. All right, guys, I apologize, but let's try to finish this up. Let's get it. Bang. Oh, bang.
Yet if you look at all the shooting metrics, field goal percentage, effective field goal percentage, true shooting percentage, both of these guys rank near the top in NBA history. Of course, there's an obvious reason for that. As we all know, both DeAndre Jordan and Tyson Chandler take a lot of their shot attempts on dunks, layups, and putbacks, which are extremely high percentage shots. Well, guess what? So does LeBron James. In fact, every single year of his career, the shot that LeBron James has taken the most has been within 0 to 3 feet from the basket. In other words, dunks, layups, and putbacks. More than one of every 3 of LeBron's shots has been within this point-blank range, which is aided by his playing in an era where it's been relatively easy to get to the rim, particularly when compared to the physical era in which Jordan played.
I told
And
y'all,
just like every other
different
player,
era,
LeBron is
different
really
era.
effective from 0 to 3 feet, hitting over 73% of these shots. But how does LeBron fare from outside this range? According to basketballreference.com, LeBron's shooting percentage from outside 3 feet is 37.5%. It's even poorer in the playoffs where he shoots 35.9%.
Ooh-wee. That's
And it
not
gets
bu- that's
even
no bueno.
worse in close and late situations.
All right, guys, we're gonna watch the last 2 minutes. My camera is tripping. I don't know how to fix it. Let's just finish this up real quick.
We're in the
Dang.
clutch. And now you'd essentially be looking at Thanos with all of the Infinity Stones.
This is ridiculous.
And no one would question whether this player was the greatest of all time. But the truth is, we don't have to imagine such a player. That player already existed. He just happened to be a shooting guard, not a center. When you think about
100%.
it, Michael Jordan is the real-life version of an overpowered video game character.
Yep.
He had all the qualities we look for in a superstar athlete, and he had it
1,000.
in spades. He's basically
spades.
Babe Ruth, if Babe Ruth played defense like Willie Mays.
Ta.
And that's why, even in comparison to the other all-time greats, he is truly in a class of his own. Simply put, he's the GOAT.
He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. The greatest of all time. I'm on your ass, boy. Y'all can, woo! Oh, Superman! When it's, watch this, watch it. All right, man. I'm probably not gonna be able to do. Well, that's the end of the video. It was only 30 seconds left. My camera just keeps turning off. We're gonna end this video right now. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Michael was always the GOAT. There was never a question. We only missed like 5 minutes of it. Don't even trip. All right, gang. If y'all want to watch the video, I'm gonna have it linked in the description. Go check it out. It's amazing. Shout out to the dog that made it. Danger Products. Great production. Great production. He went through hell and back to make it. So I'm gonna go ahead and like the video, and I'm gonna comment later. So y'all go check it out. All right, man. And I love y'all. Comment if y'all want more Michael Jordan content, LeBron content, any basketball content.